Ready for some football, Keefe?
I am ready for some football. The week comes at you fast when you play on Thursday night.
I gotta tell you, this is nice.
That is nice.
We're already back into a Patriots game?
Patriots game tonight against the Jets. Ooh, one of the big rivals. They're the biggest rival they have.
Big rival.
Who do they hate the most? The Jets, probably. Maybe not. Probably, though.
Yeah, without Bill, do they still hate the Jets the most?
Yeah, I think it's a New York thing.
It's a New York Boston thing.
And they're probably not
like
gonna be...
cats and dogs. They never get along. Yeah.
And you can't. There's not going to be many playoff adversaries going forward or big playoff moments. So it's going to be the Jets. Twice a year with the Jets. I'd probably say them.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's a big one tonight. It's a massive swing game. Not to state the obvious, but 2-1 versus 1-2 feels very different. 2-1 where you were in a game in overtime against Seattle. You really justify the start of the Gerard Mayo era versus 1-2. Where Cincinnati stinks to start every single season. You've now lost 2 in a row. You have a long layoff going into the Niners. It'll feel a lot different. So we'll get into that today on Jones and Keefe here on WEEI. Phone number 617-779-7937. Phone lines open for you with all your thoughts on the game tonight. How do the Patriots win this game? We can get into it. You can also text the show at 37937 on Twitter. At Jones and Keefe. Same for Instagram. You can watch on twitch.tv/BostonWEEI. or on YouTube. Subscribe to WEEI. So a lot of ways you can interact with the show as we take you up until 2 o'clock. When it comes to the Patriots tonight, Keefe, we can get into our predictions. We can get into how the Patriots win. Are you feeling good about the Patriots tonight?
Not really. I like the Jets more than you do. I think the Jets have gotten off to a slow start, but they're 1-1, but I think they're going to get a lot better. Like, I am still holding out on Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think he is going to have a good year, and I know, he hasn't for a while, right? No. He was hurt last year. The year prior to that was not a great year. Not a great year Aaron Rodgers-wise. I think compared to other quarterbacks, it was fine. His last year in Green Bay. I mean, 2021, he was the league MVP. So 2021, he was unreal. 2022, step backwards, but still a better-than-average quarterback. 2023, hurt in the first game. So what is he going to be this year? And so far, not great, right? He's been held under 200 yards passing the first couple of games, but I also look at, this guy hasn't played with these players on offense, the good ones, right? He's brought a few Packers with him, right?
Yeah, but the Allen Lazards.
Yeah, but like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson most specifically, because that first drive they had week 1, he was chucking it to Garrett Wilson a ton, and you're like, well, this looks pretty good. This kind of looks like, I thought they were going to win the division when the year began. And then that was it. That stopped, and they couldn't do anything else. That was against San Francisco week 1.
It was so good. It was such a good drive.
And you're like, whoa, these guys are buzzing.
They are clicking.
That was it.
Yeah.
They did not do that anymore. And then last week was kind of an ugly game, but they found a way to win. Or you could say Tennessee just found a way to lose. Regardless, they're 1-1. So I think it might take a couple more games, but I think the Jets are going to figure it out. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to figure it out. I don't know if I love the number for the Jets. I wouldn't. Okay. I don't think they cover by 6.
That's what I was just going to ask.
I might thread the needle. I might take the Pats to cover, Jets to win.
Okay. That's a weaselly move over there, but
it is. But 6 points is enough. It's not like 3, and I'm like, they're going to win by 1.
Yeah.
6 points is enough. I could see this being a 3-point game in favor of the Jets.
I was literally just going to ask, so you already answered it, but 6 feels high.
It does.
That feels high for a Jets team that barely beat Tennessee and got rocked by the Niners. And I know the Niners are, we all felt coming into the year, a Super Bowl contender and a team that was in the Super Bowl last year in overtime of taking down Patrick Mahomes. I get all that. It was Jordan Mason off the scrap heap running all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like 6 is way too high. I think it will be a competitive game tonight. I like the Pats. I like the Patriots in the game tonight.
You like the Pats outright?
I do.
Moneyline Jones.
I told you I thought they were going to start 3-0, so I'm already wrong about that. That's already out the window.
Yeah, 2-1 ain't bad, though.
But I don't feel any differently about the Patriots and the Jets after last week. It's not like the Pats got smoked by Seattle, and I'm like, whoa.
But you know what they did? So they didn't get smoked on the scoreboard?
The Jets didn't run away from Tennessee. They didn't. Both of those games kind of went how I thought, so I don't feel all that dissimilar than I felt going into last week.
So I was a little surprised, and I know they made some adjustments, and they were better in the second half, but you can also kind of question that. The defense, to me, was more kind of eye-opening than anything on the offense, meaning Geno Smith looked great. Geno Smith threw for more yards than any other quarterback in week 2.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 wide receivers go for 10 or more catches over 100 yards. They picked up so many first downs. Now, By the end of the game, Patriots didn't allow a touchdown in the second half or overtime. However, 2 must-have stop drives, they allowed field goals.
Yep.
So the defense, to me, took a little bit of a step back compared to what we were talking about them in week 1.
I think that's fair.
So I think if Aaron Rodgers is going to snap out of this funk, and he is in a bit of a funk, if he's going to snap out of it, I thought the pass defense for the Patriots was a little bit tougher. And then after watching the Seattle game, I said, maybe Aaron Rodgers can find some openings there. Right? Like if Geno Smith, I still think Geno Smith may be underrated, but I still think Aaron Rodgers is better than Geno Smith. Even this version of Aaron Rodgers is better than Geno Smith. You're making a face, but you also had Geno Smith like the 20th quarterback. You think Rodgers is 20 plus?
Right about there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our big disconnect as the Jets, right? Because we both think Wilson's great and Gardner's great and Breece Hall. So it's all about Rodgers. And maybe he goes out and lays another egg, and then that's a point for you, or he kind of turns things around a little bit and looks more like the guy of old.
Yeah, the word you keep hearing with Aaron Rodgers is rusty. He looks rusty. It's a nice way of putting it because his last year in Green Bay, he was bad by his standards. The team was bad.
Yeah.
They were much better without him a year ago. He was hurt, and he hasn't started the year great. So maybe I'm overreacting to just a couple of pedestrian games at Aaron Rodgers, and I was bullish on him and the Jets last year. Yeah. I didn't really buy all that much into his poor year in Green Bay. I'm like, well, give him Garrett Wilson.
So his bad year in Green Bay was 26 touchdowns, 12 picks.
90, it was like a 91 quarterback rating, right? Yeah.
And like for him, that's insanely bad. But I'm saying like that's above average.
But my point is he was already dropping off.
Yeah.
Then he had a year away from football, and now he's had 2 games, and he hasn't looked great. Let me give you another reason to be down on Aaron Rodgers and high on the Patriots tonight. We'll take all your predictions. Who wins?
Yeah, that has to be pretty high.
How does it play out? What does it take or what would it take for the Patriots to win the game outright tonight? 617-779-7937. You can jump in there. Aaron Rodgers is the 15th quarterback since the merger to start a game over the age of 40. He's now 1-1 with the 2 games. Brady was 68-30. Okay, so
Brady did well.
Brady did pretty well after
Brady
he turned
was really
40.
good,
Yeah,
actually.
okay, fine.
Now that we think about it.
I'll give that to you.
Let's talk this out a little bit more about Tom Brady.
Brady after 40, really good.
Okay.
Sneaky good, Drew Brees, 17-6. Now, I remember Drew Brees late in his career. I'm like, he sucks.
Yeah.
But 17-6.
Not bad. All right.
Brett Favre was over 500. He was 13-12.
13-12 for Favre, including some. Was he 40 with the Jets, or was it all Vikings?
Ooh, good question.
Probably run around there,
that.
but okay.
Yeah,
right.
It might have been mostly Minnesota. Yep. Warren Moon 11-14. Vinny Testaverde 8-17. Matt Hasselbeck 5-3. Nice.
Vinny Testaverde's dragging this stat down.
Sonny Jurgensen 3-1.
Sonny Jurgensen 3-1.
Doug Flutie 3-3. Earl Morrell. I mean, Mel Kiper might have dropped his name today on Get Up. He was 2-0. Len Dawson 1-4. Johnny Yu 1-3. Vince Evans 1-2. Brad Johnson 1-2. Steve DeBerg 0-1. Basically, it's Brady as the giant outlier.
Yep.
And Rodgers is closer to Brady than a lot of these quarterbacks.
For sure.
Breeze, Favre, he's probably in that grouping. But a lot of quarterbacks not named Tom Brady, they don't do anything after age 40.
But he's way better than Breeze, I would say. Like he is I think there's plenty of questions about Rodgers come playoff time.
Is he way better than Favre?
Favre had some. Like Favre, we think of Favre now at the end of his career, just all the picks that he was throwing. I think way better is too strong. I think he's better. If I was ranking quarterbacks all time, I would say he's better. Rodgers has, to me, way more issues come playoff time. Not a guy I would count on in the playoffs, but for the most part, in the regular season, he has been pretty remarkable. So I think he's way closer to Brady in that sense than any of those other guys on the list, like a Vinny Testaverde or like a Doug Flutie or a Sonny Jurgensen. His career record is, where is it? 149, 76, and 1. I mean, like he's just roll out of bed winning record. Right?
Well, yeah, but not his last year in Green Bay and not so far with the Jets.
Yeah, they were 8-9, right? So his last year in Green Bay, and last year, who knows? Like, who knows what it would have been? And so far, no. Like, I can't argue that he's off to a slow start and he doesn't look great. But a 41-year-old guy coming off an Achilles injury with new teammates, I didn't expect him to look great the first 2 weeks. But I still I'm not gonna all of a sudden overstate how good the Patriots are just because they've looked pretty.
I might do that.
Well, no, you know what it is? I think there's just such an incredibly low bar. They beat Cincinnati. They play a tough game with Seattle, and we're like, wait a minute, this team doesn't suck. Read the roster again. Like, go through the receivers on this team. Go through the offensive line again. It's not very good. The other thing that jumps out to me is the Patriots haven't turned the ball over yet. Does that continue? Can they go through a whole season with no turnovers? And Ramondre Stevenson has put the ball on the ground. They've just recovered it. And Jacoby Brissett, I'm curious tonight, all this chirping about receivers and Pop Douglas, they cut a receiver from the practice squad. Do they say, all right, yeah, we can't open it up a little bit more? And if you allow Brissett to make a few more throws down the field, you're also kind of risking it.
Well, it's one of the conundrums for the Patriots of the game tonight. You have receivers who want the ball, but you don't beat the Jets by throwing on them. You beat the Jets by running on them. So how do they balance that out? We'll get to it. How do the Patriots win the game tonight, Keefe? If they're going to win, I know you don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
If they're going to win, how do they do it?
I think it's a big Ramondre game, and I also think it's I would love to see Christian Gonzalez pretty much on Garrett Wilson. You know, the DK Metcalf stats are kind of, I guess it depends on who you believe, but overall in the game, DK Metcalf through the roof. Like, great fantasy game, all that stuff. Just specifically when only Gonzalez was on him. I know there was that miscommunication that led to the big touchdown, but give this guy an opportunity to just cancel out a receiver. Make the other receivers beat them if you're the Jets. So I would put Gonzalez on Wilson and run him around the entire field. And then, you know, because he's still healthy, give Ramondre the ball 25 times. That's probably what I would do.
Okay, I think you have the game plan right. I think you run on the Jets. I think that's what you do. And if the receivers are squawking about it, then they have to squawk about it for another week, and it's a long week going into San Francisco a week from now. But I think you have the game plan right. And we're already getting tweets at JonesWEI, at Keefe21, our guy Ray.
What do you got, Ray?
I can't tell if Ray's a fan or not. Guys, Bentley is out. Who's going to stop the run? Raekwon McMillan?
I think that's I don't know if he's a fan of us, but I think it's a good point. Like, no, Bentley. Like, he's won me over the last couple of years.
Are you afraid of Breece Hall tonight?
I think Breece Hall could have a good game.
I'm not afraid of Breece Hall tonight.
No.
I think maybe in the passing game, like maybe throwing
Jones
it to him.
also said that about DK, and DK had 10 catches.
This is a good point.
So I think
this is a good point. Fair point.
I think the
it was
Patriots,
one broken play, really. Is all it was.
That doesn't count. Throw that one out.
Toss that one.
No, but I think they could have been rocked into a little bit of a false sense of run defense because Cincinnati has bad backs and Kenneth Walker was out for Seattle. So this is a much different type of guy they're facing. And I think the Bentley one is worth mentioning.
Breece Hall also didn't run on the Niners. Okay, fine. That's a good defense. Also didn't run on Tennessee. And so, I don't know.
Breece Hall, good Titans team.
Breece Hall on the ground does not scare me. Through the air, if Rodgers is going to dump it down to him, maybe. I'm more afraid of Breece Hall in the passing game than I am Garrett Wilson tonight because of what you said about Christian Gonzalez. And the slow start for Garrett Wilson and him and Rodgers not really being on the same page. Rodgers doesn't scare me. The Jets don't scare me. I think the Patriots win tonight. So how do you see it playing out? Your thoughts, your predictions on Thursday Night Football. The Pats are back. Short week, 617-779-7937. We'll get to all your thoughts and predictions on the game. How do the Patriots win? And how do they balance the squawking receivers complaining about not getting the ball, Pop Douglas among them, when the game plan is to run on the Jets? How are they going to square those two away?